All right, what is up, everybody? So, didn't do my normal daily chart prep this morning because FOMC. Was not planning on trading in the morning. Let me clear these drawings. Yep, some things in real life that I wanted to take care of as well. Decided to take this opportunity since I wasn't going to trade to handle those, and it's lunchtime now, so I'm gonna do a little chart prep to get some levels before FOMC drops at 2 p.m. So hopefully we can get a little prepared for what could happen, and as always, there's gonna be a move that shows, right? With these data dumps, with these big events. Stay away from the initial dump or the initial drop, the drop of the data, because it's gonna pump and dump and dump and pump and go crazy. Probably clear all the liquidity before the real run, but we want to be hyper aware of what could happen. So I'll give it my best shot. First FOMC doing this. Just be aware. I have no experience, so this is for us to try to learn and grow together. All right, let's start with the daily. I'm going to just go through my normal prep. This is my normal view that I have. I'll usually have up top left 15 minute, bottom left 5 minute, and the big right panel 1 minute, where I will enter my trades at. But let's start with the daily. Okay, so 2 days ago, we came down. Yesterday, which cleared a gap here. Yesterday, we came down even further before bouncing all the way up and clearing the high, right? So just a little consolidation, really, before FOMC. If you get into the daily candle here, it did seem a little crazy, but honestly, it's similar to this down here, right? Like just a little consolidation period because everyone's prepped for today, the big event. So I would say let's mark out what we normally do here. High of the day yesterday, low of the day yesterday. It's pretty far off now, but doesn't mean we're not gonna go for it. We want to be aware. All right. Now, since we have this big wick on the low of the day yesterday, I'm actually gonna mark out the 50% line of that, just to be aware of. Now, when you're in like the 1 minute, right, or the 5 minute, you'll see these things, and especially when you see one like this, that's a fib line from my fib. You do have to go back and try to remember, when you see it coming all the way over here, you can probably take a guess that it was from the daily chart, but it's just sort of a reminder too, like, oh, we're coming up on something. You don't have to be perfect and know what they all are all the time. Once you see one, and you say, well, could we be reaching down there? Go and research what it was, Oh, okay, this is 50% of this wick. Whether it's a target or a reaction point, right? Which they can be both. We'll do that wick. We'll do this high, because I think that would be a potential point of interest. And I'm going to just put that as a buy-side liquidity target. And then I'm going to go back to what I laid out a couple days ago, and that's the fib here. If we are to shoot up, a lot of people are saying, oh, we're out of the bear channel or whatever. I don't know. I'm not certain on that. We could still be looking for a low of the year, right? Or maybe not of the year, but a low of this downtrend that we've started since inflation got crazy, right? If we were to push lower, I think this 50% of this wick would be a point that we're not going to cross and hold, right? The 4117.75. If you look at the daily and sort of the waves that it goes in, right? We came back up here, didn't come close to the high, right? We came back up here, didn't take out that high, right? We came back up here, almost took out that high. Now, what's interesting, I haven't even looked at this. Look at that. Where did that come back to? 50% of this wick, right? That is a strong pullback reaction point to show we're getting more downside, right? Now, we're pretty close, but I think if we hit that 4117.75 and react, that is going to be a pretty bold signal that we're going to go for lows on the yearly, you know? So just be aware. It's a big target. We could mark out this one. I don't think it's even close to being able to get there. My dog's over here. Bored. If you hear him, sorry. But we'll mark it out, whatever. It's fine. A couple more downside targets. I think we're getting a strong reaction, so that's why I'm doing a lot more targets on the downside here. We got 50% of these gaps. I want to draw those gaps out too. I gotta be a little quicker here before lunch ends. I want to draw these gaps out because if we get into them, you know, the top side of the gap is relevant too, and the bottom side of the gap. So just want to be aware when we do dig into those gaps. All right, so there we got our daily laid out. I think that's really all that matters. You'll notice this wick here on the Wednesday the 25th candle, it lines up, the 50% lines up almost perfectly with the 50% of this daily gap. And it came down and hit the 50% of this. So, you know, if those didn't line up, we might want to look at something on that wick too, because it's quite a wick. But since it lines up so well, we don't need to worry about it. We'll just use the other reference points. Do we care about this gap? I don't know. Like, that's a long frickin' way, right? But it's FOMC. Could it go 200 points? Maybe. Maybe. I'm going to draw it out just in case. I mean, I clear these drawings every day, so if it's not relevant tomorrow, it's fine. It'll be gone. But oops, put that on the wrong point there. But let's get that out there too. All right. The other time frames I'm probably going to go through pretty quickly because I don't know if it's going to be that relevant. This 4-hour gap looks pretty juicy. I haven't been doing much with the 4-hour lately, but let's put the 4-hour gap. Now we do have the weekly gap that actually let's do that instead. Go to the daily. The weekly gap that ICT keeps talking about, it is the gap from this high of the Friday candle to, or sorry, not the high, but the close of the Friday candle, since it was an up candle, to the open of the Monday candle, since it was a down close candle. That is that weekly gap that ICT keeps talking about. I did make a style for it because I wanted to make sure I knew it was different than a daily gap, and we'll draw a fib on that as well. All right, so we got a lot of shit on the chart so far, a lot more than I really care to do usually, but I'm just expecting a very strong reaction. That 4-hour gap is still relevant. I think we draw it. You know, this chart's gonna look a little ugly, but I think we want to be aware of all this stuff. So we got lots of lines so far. Tops and bottoms here are already marked with some other thing. We do have a 1-hour gap here. And that's pretty interesting too. I'm going to mark this out because I'm in the 1 hour now. We are reacting to it right now. So, probably want to have that on there. All right, so there's that gap and consequence encroachment line. There's another thing I might want to start adding to these sessions, and that's looking for order blocks and marking them out on the higher time frames. I know ICT does that. It's something I'm not yet super comfortable with on the higher time frames. And actually on this gap, I'm not going to mark this CE. It might be relevant. It looks like it was here actually, but we can just sort of eyeball it. I think it's a pretty small gap. This 1 hour is going to be relevant. Oops, that one. Potentially relevant. I'm marking a lot of downside, huh? The upside ones, I'm going to have to go into my older sessions here. We do have a 1 hour. Damn, man. We have a lot of gaps. When you start expecting heavy movement, I mean, there's a lot of gaps. Look, we reacted to it. We have previous low of day marked there. I'm not going to draw that out, actually. Not going to draw it out. There's other stuff, but let's try to focus more on stuff that is closer by. I'm going to mark this 1 hour gap because this was relevant in the past. This was, if you remember a couple days ago, we did bounce off of this gap before we got to 41.1775. It was a very important gap. And if we are going up, I would expect that to be smashed, you know. Let's go ahead and push it through here so we can see it. Okay. 1 hour gap. All right. Buy side. We got most of this drawn out. Let's go to 15 minutes and see what we got here. You know, I might just kill this 1 hour gap and rely more on the 15. And I think I'll do just that. So it's a learning process here too, remember. I would recommend everyone has this habit, but you know, as you draw things out and then you'll see as days go on what actually mattered of what you drew out, and just try to remember that and adjust your daily chart prep as you have more knowledge, right? This is top of gap, don't need to worry about it. This is midline, don't need to worry about it. This is midline, don't need to worry about it. We got we could mark this out as a buy side target. It's so close to the previous high of day that you know, if it's sweeping that, it'll probably sweep previous high of day. And that's sort of what I'm expecting of FOMC. When data does drop, I am expecting it to sweep previous high of day. I'm also expecting it to sweep this low. I was thinking this low, but we've already swept it, right? We're in a little downtrend now. We've already swept some of this stuff. I don't think this is going to matter. I think we're going to just knock that out, and it's going to be balanced. But yeah, like I said, first FOMC while doing ICT theory, so this will be a really great learning experience. That's all I'm going to chart out right now. It's pretty messy. There's a lot of shit out there. But yeah, so what we'll do is watch how it reacts and try to make sure you journal it, like always. How did it react? What things held? What things didn't? Did it wipe out all this shit and we can just delete it, right? Journal it, study it tonight, and it should be fun. Wait for the real move, okay? Keep an eye on ICT's tweets. He's going to be doing a Twitter space, I believe, or maybe a live stream on YouTube. I will be joining if I can. Hopefully you guys can join too. none of this, I'm not a master of any of this. He's the master. Learn from him. I'm just trying to give my thoughts on the learning process, and hopefully you can learn from it too. All right. Enjoy. See you later. Join the Discord.